That was a nice lecture you gave in air. Can I ask a few questions on the way to your car?
Thanks. What can I help you with?
I have been asking different astrologers what their feelings are on this topic and thought I would ask you. Is it a reading, or is it a consultation?
The most important thing is what takes place between the astrologer and the client. If the client has been helped, and you've called it a pancake session, so be it. With that said, astrology has a perception issue in the world. How we present it is ever so important, especially now that the internet is so littered with BS. It used to be that the only way you heard about astrology was through a published book, and in order to get published, you needed to know your stuff. Now, anyone with a computer is a pro.
I say what you mean. I want to get back to my original question though.
Okay. Let's talk. When you go to a psychic, or to a tarot card reader, what are your expectations? I don't know if you have ever been to one, but perhaps you can take a guess.
Yes. I have been to both several times. What happens is that I basically kind of sit there while they tell me what they see. I do get to ask questions, but by and large, it is their show.
Yes. And when you are making an appointment to see a tarot card reader or a psychic, what is that called?
It is a reading, I guess. It is a reading or an appointment.
Yes. It is a reading. I'm a huge fan of Edgar Cayce. I have read 30 of his books easily. I would have loved to have had a session with him. There is a section in the bio on him called "There is a River" that is absolutely colossal. It talks about the origin of the world. Within this, there are questions answered about astrology that are amazing. I say that to say that I love a great psychic. What a psychic does, and what an astrologer does, are two different things.
Okay. You have my attention.
I prefer the term consultation. For one thing, it projects professionalism instead of a space cadet burning incense looking into a crystal ball. Astrology cannot have enough professionalism. Secondly, the term reading projects something that is not what astrologers do, at least it isn't what holistic astrologers do.
Yes. Go ahead.
The term reading implies more of a one-eye dynamic. The person comes to the astrologer's home or office. They sit on the other side of the desk while the astrologer rattles off this statement and that statement, complete with technical jargon. I have actually seen some who will put the chart in front of the person. Then they point to two planets. Saturn is in the 7th with Capricorn on the cusp opposing Venus. And the astrologer will say, "See this here. This means that you have relationship difficulties."
I would demand my money back.
And then the same astrologer will point to Jupiter on the cusp of the 10th and say, "But with this, you will always have career success." It is maddening. Here is the deal. A consultation is a discussion between two people using the horoscope as a guide. The astrologer does an analysis of the person's chart. The points are made, written down, or whatever. The person comes, you sit down, and you give an opening statement that capsulizes things. All the while, you demand participation, so that there is discussion about the deductions made.
Wow. That is professional.
You have to approach it like the horoscope is an X-ray of how a person should be. For each one of us, there are going to be parts of us that are and are not reflected in the horoscope. If, for example, a person has the moon in Sagittarius, a position that badly needs opinionation to be fulfilled, and the person is a quiet, docile type, there is a point for discussion. You don't just blurt out, "You have the moon in Sagittarius." You have an expansive personality full of exuberance. No. The discussion has to be, your horoscope suggests a need to give strong opinionation in order for your personality to be fulfilled. Now, that doesn't appear to be who you are, but it is who you need to be for optimum fulfillment. Let's talk about what might have happened in your development that quieted this need. And trust me, a rich, valuable discussion comes out of that.
Yes, I see what you mean.
I had someone just yesterday afternoon. Saturn was retrograde exactly on the person's descendant. Capricorn was on the cusp of the 4th. The moon was in the 4th house, and was opposed by Pluto. And, oh yay, Saturn can join the nodal axis, which means that the nodal axis was conjunct the horizon line. The person came to me because they wanted to know when to pursue the opening of a business. So, I said, "Marty, I know that you came here because you have business interests. We will get to them, but before we do, can we begin our discussion with this observation? Your horoscope suggests strongly that there was a scenario earlier in life where your mother just absolutely dominated things and your father was out of the picture. This scenario generated some feelings of inferiority in regards to relationships that has a lot to do with the defensiveness you have.
Holy Christ. What did he say?
He was floored. He said that he didn't know what it was like to have a fulfilling relationship. He had become Mr. Entrepreneur as an overcompensatory measure to wow others. And he did wow a lot of women, but they were able to pick up on his esteem concerns. He was a sexual failure. We addressed that concern for most of the consultation. By the time we were done, it was no longer necessary for him to feel like he had to rule the world in order to get a woman. And that is a consultation. We consult about life concerns, not show off what we know about astrology by saying shit like, you have Mercury conjunct Mars and that means you have a bad temper.
You are passionate about this.
The astrologers in my formative years of study were astrological gunslingers. If you look on my Facebook page amongst the pictures, you see me there with some of the absolute finest minds in astrology, including Robert Hand and Noel Till and Steve Forrest. These guys are originators, solid professional pros, that serve astrology well. This quality of astrologer is now far outnumbered by sheer garbage on the internet. It is just appalling. It is the difference between disco and Beethoven. That was good. It sounded like real strings.
Is your moon in Sagittarius?
No. My Mars is in Sagittarius and that is probably worse as far as opinionation goes. My moon is in Virgo, which is almost as bad as the moon in Sagittarius. Bill Cosby and Madonna have it. Need I say more?
I want to thank you for your time. I have learned a lot.
It was